another time we went camping in the Upper Peninsula at the Hurricane River, and this was long ago before like there's a lot of people going to the Pictured Rocks. The Pictured Rocks really got really popular a couple years later, so there wasn't really a lot of people there, especially at the primitive campgrounds. But we went camping there. It was late September, and my buddy Eric was sick. It sounded like he was getting pneumonia. It was a pretty miserable weather the entire time. There was frozen rain, sleet, snow. It was always just around freezing.
So all the time your head got bopped by the frozen rain.
Well, yeah.
Bro, really? Probably frozen rain is a snow. Oh, but it's ice and it's tinier.
Yeah. But where we were camping was right at the mouth of the Hurricane River, right where it went into Lake Superior. You know Lake Superior, right?
Right.
That's that lake that you've gone swimming in a couple times. You're a little more braver than I am, because Lake Superior is always cold to me. But on this camping trip, this horrible weather, nothing was dry. It was raining, snowing, and we were fishing at the mouth of the river, expecting to catch fish. And it was just miserable. We didn't pack anything the right way, weren't catching anything. So a couple days goes by, and we notice that there's one other guy camping all the way at the other end of this campground. So we went over there to talk to him, and he was living it up. Like, he had these like wind walls built all around his campground to block out the wind, canvas roofs, so he made himself a little cook tent there. Oh man. While we were talking to him.
That was a burp.
Yeah. While we were talking to him, he was baking a cake in a Dutch oven over a campfire. And like at the time, like that was so mind-boggling to us. This dude's making a cake on a campfire. That doesn't sound like campfire food. So we were talking to him. His name was Chris, and he was from Ohio. And he He was going through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with his friends to go to their favorite camp spot on this fishing trip in Canada. Well, when he got to the border, they wouldn't let him come into Canada because he had a marijuana possession charge in Ohio from like 20 years earlier. So they wouldn't let him into Canada, so his friends went to Canada without him. So he decided that he was going to take his pickup truck and go set up camp over in the Pictured Rocks area. So that's what he was doing there. So we were talking to him a little bit. We noticed his tackle box, and we were trying to catch fish too. So we were asking him questions about the stuff that was in this tackle box, and it ends up that his best friend died 6 years earlier. Down in Ohio, there was an ice storm, and he flipped his pickup truck, and this guy named Chris that we met there, he inherited his best friend's tackle box. So he was pointing to all the lures and stuff, and then he kind of got sad, and he started talking that he lost one of his friend's lures out in the surf area where the Hurricane River came into Lake Superior. So the guy was a little bit on the emotional side. So we went back to our campground. So we spent the next couple days freezing and trying to fish. Never caught anything. Finally, Eric starts wading out in Lake Superior because he thinks he caught this big fish. And he's reeling it in, but it's not really moving like a fish, but it's something heavy.
Is it a shark?
It wasn't a shark. And we start realizing he caught a line. And so I go to help him out, and it's getting caught. And so I wade out a little bit. We pull a fishing line up, there's a lure attached to it. And we're looking at the lure, and we take it over to this picnic table, and it fits a description to the T of the lure. A guy named Chris said that he lost, which was actually his best friend's lure before he died. So we were sitting there we were contemplating, what should we do with this lure? Should we keep it? If you find a lure out in the water, it's sort of like an unwritten rule that, hey, that's now your lure. But we were thinking the right thing to do is, let's go ask this Chris guy if this is his best friend's lure that he lost. So we walked over to the campsite and showed it to him, and this guy broke down crying and was so happy that we found his lost lure. And so he invited to hang out with us. He was going to he took us out to actually go see the Northern Lights one night. So we took our sleeping bags out to the beach. We dressed up in 4 layers of clothing because it was so cold out there, and we watched the Northern Lights come in. So he turns to us, and we're talking of, how is the fishing going? And we're like, we haven't caught anything the entire time we've been here. He says, I can guarantee you, if you come with me tomorrow, you'll catch a fish. And we're like, okay. We noticed that he would disappear in the woods from time to time while he was camping there anyways. So we're like, okay, it's worth a shot. We meet him the next day, and I grab my little ugly stick. The ugly stick's my favorite fishing rod to take with me camping. It's indestructible. They're cheap. They're perfect. My short little ugly stick. And this guy Chris was like, man, that is the perfect fishing rod for where I'm about to take you. So we went hiking through the woods, and we went upstream on the Hurricane River. We're hiking through the woods, and we get to a waterfall. And he says, what you need to do is you find the smallest bobber you can possibly find, and then put a little worm on the end of your hook, and just throw your line over to where the water is coming down on the waterfall, and just let it sit in where the white bubbles are coming up at the bottom. And he says, the brookies in there will bite it, guaranteed. So we're like, okay, whatever. And he's like, if you don't got a small bobber, find a little stick and just tie a stick, use it as a bobber. So we wade over, and we get on top of this waterfall, and we're just dropping our lines down. And guess what? Mm-hmm. We start catching brook trout left and right. Oh. And that's how I've been fishing for brook trout for the rest of my life. Anytime I go up north to the UP, I find a small waterfall. I stand on top of the waterfall. I just let the line sit there at the bottom of the waterfall. Basically, the whole thing, how I learned how to catch brook trout the easy way in the UP, all happened because me and Eric decided to do the right thing and bring that lure that we found back to the original owner. Because that's what made him warm up to us, was because we went out of our way to return something that he had an emotional attachment to. In order for him, so he basically returned the favor by teaching us how to fish for brook trout in the UP.
So you're telling me if I find something, I should look for the owner?
Yeah.
Especially if
it's...
Instead of doing that finders keepers thing?
If you do something good, a lot of times something good happens back. If you found something that you knew was one of your friends, would you return it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why would you return it?
Because I would have given them a lost scene. They would just feel better.
Exactly.